What's going on, folks? Rich here for RageWorks. We got a brand new toy video for you. This one is a little nostalgic for yours truly, as it is a glimpse into young Rich's childhood that is now reproduced for your purchasing pleasure. It is Ripster from Street Sharks. Street Sharks was an old school cartoon that aired in the 90s from 1994 to 1997. Certain, depending on the fan base, may recognize Street Sharks more so for Vin Diesel trying to sell you some, which he did in an infamous commercial that he is well known for, that I'm sure he's trying to have scrubbed off the internet, where he had, I believe, a leather vest on, and there was a nice 90s sounding voiceover trying to sell you Street Sharks. Big, jacked up fish that beat up other fish, and that was essentially the crux of the cartoon. Now, the thing about it is, when this cartoon came out in the 90s, it was a very interesting time, especially because a lot of the cartoons that they were pushing out were really just over-the-top, crazy shows with animals. You had Biker Mice from Mars, SWAT Cats, you had these guys, the Street Sharks, obviously one incarnation or another of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and so on. But the thing about Street Sharks that was always cool was the design of the toys themselves. I feel that not only were they incredibly durable, they were just well-constructed pieces of plastic. Now, as an 80s baby, there were very few toys that were that durable growing up. He-Man, you would squish the head and it would be misshapen. Silverhawks would get all the paint would peel off, probably have some kind of cancer or poisoning from it. But Street Sharks, durable, big and clunky, but incredibly detailed. And Mattel, when they announced that they were bringing this back, my inner child was super happy about it because I never got to own one. I got to play with them because friends had them, but I never got to own one myself. So Mattel got me by bringing this out, along with all of the other characters from the series, plus the villains as well. Ripster and Big Slammoo were two of my favorites from the show, and I had to get this one because, again, nostalgia. So box is pretty much almost identical to how I remember it as a kid. A little bit more well-constructed. It has a plastic cage inside to mimic a shark cage, and also probably to keep it from being stolen easily because cardboard guys. And one of the things that I enjoyed was that they made sure to remind you that this figure's action feature is easily accessible through the box. And as a parent, I can tell you my kid was very excited to hit that old-fashioned try me button. But the thing about the package, besides obviously the fact that it looked like the shark cage, was that they went out of their way to tease two of the characters, even though there's like 4 of them in stores already. Now, I don't know if they just figured that the first series would be 3, but in a specialty retailer that I am very familiar with, when we opened the case, it had more than 3 characters. So take that for what it's worth. So if you are a fan of the series, you can pretty much get the core characters at your local retailer. But let's give you guys a closer look at the box from all angles. As you can see, got the accessibility there to try the figure, which is pressing on the fin for the chomp action. You got your villain and one of your other members of the Street Sharks team. All right, let's crack this guy open and take a closer look. Oh, there goes the resale value of this figure. One of the things to be aware of is that this package cannot be reused. So there you have it. Shark cage. You got your little ties back there. The shark cage, obviously, for display. So let's get him out and see what he looks like. All right, so we got Ripster out of the cage, and a couple of things of note. Articulation, a lot better than when I was a kid, but not by much. These legs are going to require a lot of work to get them positioned well to pose him accordingly. Because obviously the figure, given that he's very large, is very top-heavy with a tiny-ass waist. Clearly, Ripster was not about leg day. But clearly, everything else, he was definitely in the gym for everything else. The thing I like about the figure, obviously, besides the articulation, is that they did a good job with textures, mixing the more rubbery style, the more rubbery feeling for the torso with the more hard plastic for the arms and the legs. I think it's a great contrast. And even the fin, which, like I said, isn't like the cheap plastic. It's actually harder plastic to give you a good shark bite feature, which I thought was cool. The only thing that I'm a little bothered about is that you didn't get any accessories. I feel like most of the street sharks came with some sort of a pipe or a girder or a brick or a trash can lid, just street weapons of some sort. This one, you get nothing. You get the shark cage, which you can open from the top, as you can see here, and that's pretty much it. The other thing that bothers me about this shark cage, even though it's a cool display piece, there is no bottom. So if you wanted to leverage the fish hook here to hang this up for display purposes, you can't because it has no bottom. So you can display them in the cage, but to what end? And even still, getting them in the cage, slightly difficult. So while the cage is cool from a display perspective, you can't do shit else. Can't hang it up, can't use it for anything other than to get the figure home, and that's it. Otherwise, it's worthless, which is one of the few things that bother me about the figure aside from the tight joints. Now, it begs the question if figures like Slamu and even some of the villains, which are substantially larger, are going to have some of these balance problems. Because even here, see, he has like cowboy boots, which is even weirder. But see, they have heels that'll help him stand and balance the weight a little bit, but you're still going to have to play with the leg joints to get him to stand well. Like, it took a few minutes, but if I don't move him, he should be fine. Mattel and a lot of companies are really capitalizing on what I like to call the 80s and 90s nostalgia boom. Companies like Mattel are doing stuff. Mattel is bringing old stuff back. And I don't mind it, but the thing about it is that who is this really for? And I say this because there's no Street Sharks products out there. There's no new cartoon or anything like that. This is strictly, I guess, for our age group, the older collector. But the thing about it is that these toys are really well made to play with. Like I said, they definitely can take damage and you could throw them around, and like I said, the rubbery feel will keep them mostly intact. And I think it's a missed opportunity for a company like Mattel to not even try to do like a web series or a Netflix series for Street Sharks, because again, the toys are very durable. They have a cool design. They definitely get a kid's attention. My daughter is 5, has never seen Street Sharks ever. And as soon as she saw me pick this up and put it in the cart, she was intrigued. She wanted to know about it. She wanted to see it. I had to go to good old YouTube and pull up some episodes and clips for her to see it. And now she likes it. And the thing about it is that this is a 5-year-old little girl. So if she was enamored by it, I'm sure most kids in that age, 5 to 7, would definitely think it's cool that you got big, jacked up street sharks fighting in the streets of whatever urban metropolis the show took place in. But before I wax poetic too much about it, back to the figure. For $24.99 or $29.99, depending on where you're picking it up, I think it's a solid price, good value. Like I said, not cheap. The plastic doesn't feel cheap compared to figures that are in higher tax brackets. Super 7, I'm looking at you, because that's one company that make awesome toys, again, from a nostalgia standpoint, but the plastic sometimes and the construction leaves a lot to be desired. This retro figure has, like I said, better paint scheme, better joints. Even the ball joints here are very good. They're going to need a little work when you pick it up outside of the legs, but the ball joints here, the bicep bend, the closed fist, cool, but again, needs some sort of a weapon. All great things. The action feature on this Street Shark, which is the bite, obviously is one of the easiest and simplest things to do, but the simplicity and the execution make it just look very well done, very cool. Because when you press it, see the texture, the more rubberized skin here for the shark actually moves in a way that looks very akin to like a shark attack you see on from a real shark, which I thought was very cool. Obviously, we don't want to mimic it too much, but still close enough. And again, you could do this repeatedly and it just looks cool. It doesn't take away or deteriorate any of the features. I don't have to worry about like anything peeling, anything painting, or the mechanism even breaking from repeated pushing, because I feel that it's one of the things that is a highlight. The other thing which wasn't mentioned but that I feel they added was the old-fashioned He-Man style power punch from turning the waist. So if you want to get a little, which I believe they used to emphasize in some of the commercials too, when they would use the Jawsome tagline. So, you know, there would be some sort of fish pun and then punch the bad guy in the face, and that would pretty much be the commercial for these toys. But the biting feature was probably one of the things that I found to be the coolest. And because of the way that this was constructed, it's not going to deteriorate the toy anytime soon. The only thing that I feel may hinder this toy down the road is going to be heat. Because as someone that owns the '89 Mezco Batman that had a similar texture for the costume to mimic Michael Keaton's costume from the film, I noticed that after exposure to the heat, the more rubberized parts would kind of get like a bit of a sticky film, which is something that if you own devices that have like a rubberized coating, that rubberized coating breaks down over time. Now, I'm not saying that that's going to be the case with a figure like this, but it is something to be aware of, because if you're displaying this in a room that is very warm, I could definitely see either the plastic becoming incredibly soft or it just wearing away a lot faster. So keep that in mind if you're displaying this. Definitely a cooler room might be it. Again, results may vary, but given that the '89 Batman from Mezco has a similar texture, better that I share that with you guys just in case. The verdict, though. Do you need this? Is this something that should be part of your collection? Well, if you grew up in an era where Street Sharks was one of your favorite shows, it's a great figure to have on your desk or amongst your collection. It's easy on the wallet, light on the accessories, but good quality overall. So definitely kudos to Mattel for at least giving us a bit of nostalgia, but with a modern twist. If you want to add Ripster to your collection along with any of the other Street Sharks, we'll make sure to put links in the description for this video, and you can pick it up from any of the stores that sell this. As always, full disclosure, some of them may be affiliate links, which if you use, we'll get a small commission at no additional cost for you. What'd you think of the Street Sharks cartoon? Were you a fan? Are you adding one of these to your collection? Feel free to let me know in the comment section. And if you see this video on social, hit us up there as well. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.